Good evening, Dr. E. This is Alicia Stanford. I am recording and uploading my YouTube OD meeting observation submission. Today, I observed a meeting at my job. I work at 2U. It's a technology educational company that basically provides a technology platform in order for university partners to be able to allow students to attend and graduate classes and obtain their graduate degrees online. The company culture, I would describe it as being, fast paced, innovative, very collaborative, a company culture. It has a mix of all the different generations, going from baby boomers up until Generation Zs. However, the larger mix of the company, I would say, is millennials and Generation Zs. So within this company and organization, I work in the internal audit department. My background, as you know, is accounting. I am in the concentration of audit. I have worked in both internal audit and external audit, but at this company, I am an internal auditor. Today, I got the opportunity to, within the internal audit department, we are tasked with doing what's called SOX testing, and SOX stands for Sarbanes-Oxley testing. It's a stipulation that comes down from the federal government that it requires all public companies to be compliant with internal controls surrounding certain processes within the organization, and having internal controls to reduce risk associated with all the different processes within the organization. Today, for a 2-hour meeting in preparation for internal audit and external audit to go in and do testing for our upcoming SOX compliance year, which is 2019, we conducted our first SOX internal SOX meeting. This meeting was facilitated by the tax department. It's in relation to tax processes and tax internal controls that need to be done to address risks associated with the tax process. The reason for the meeting, it's called so that internal audit, which is our department, and external audit, the external auditors for 2U is a public company called KPMG. It's for all three of these groups to get together and basically have the tax department go through their process and walk us through all of the internal controls for the tax process. The meeting is called in at the request of the external auditors so that they can have an understanding of what's going on. And internal audit, we just sit in the meeting and observe. So I felt this was a perfect opportunity to just be an observer and look at this through an OD lens. The physical setting of the meeting is in the office headquarters, in a conference room, a large conference room. The room style was boardroom style, so chairs, rectangular boardroom table, chairs all around. This meeting was facilitated by the tax department. Tax department attendees were the tax director, and we also had the tax director reports to the senior vice president of accounting. Also in the meeting was the internal audit director and internal audit staff from KPMG, which are the external auditors. You have the KPMG partner and then their staff. So the meeting is being facilitated by the tax department, the tax director, he is utilizing the monitor and the screen technology to be able to actually walk through the listing of controls, and then the Excel documents and any other documents that's used in the process for him to go through and basically physically show KPMG, the external auditors, and the internal auditors, us, all the documents that he uses in Excel spreadsheets that he uses to go through the process. During the meeting, I noticed that the tax director seemed a little bit nervous. He focused all of his attention to the external auditor partner. He looked directly at him, occasionally looking around at all the other folks within the room, but he pretty much made it seem like he was doing the walkthroughs particularly for the partner. During, I would say, no more than 5 minutes within him beginning to facilitate, the senior vice president of accounting interrupts the director. The tax director chimes in to try to really give additional background on certain points within his walkthrough. I can tell that the actual SVP of accounting really wanted to make sure that he kind of owned the conversation and owned his position, which is a higher position, obviously, within the company. In actuality, he ends up digressing. They start going into different topic that isn't necessarily related to internal controls. They go into actual just like tax related technical information relating to tax laws and things like that. So digressing ended up occurring. And then the partner for KPMG and the SVP of accounting start going back and forth and asking questions, and it just became almost like all the rest of the people in the room, all we're doing we're just taking notes. At internal audit, during the whole meeting, we didn't say anything. I'm taking notes. My director actually, he was not even actively listening at all. I can tell he was doing something totally unrelated to the meeting. So that was quite interesting. In terms of the other KPMG folks within the meeting, they were taking notes. So I would say like the younger folks, which I would include myself in that, like the millennials, we were taking notes on our laptops. The older generations, baby boomers, they were actually taking notes on physical notepads, which was quite interesting. So occasionally, as the director of tax tries to bring the whole meeting back to the purpose of going and walking through the actual tax process, the SVP of accounting keeps interrupting him and really kept trying to clarify and make sure that the partner with KPMG really knew and understand what was going on. I can see a little bit of a frustration with the director because he felt like getting off track and being interrupted just kind of disrupted his flow. Other things I noticed in the meeting were whenever the actual KPMG partner was writing down on his notepad particular notes associated with the process, all of his staff would write. They had physical notepads as well, but they would write. When they saw him writing on his notepad, then they would write on their notepad. So in terms of the energy in the room, it was almost like as if everybody allowed the more tenured and senior person to lead everything, and that their comments and their opinions on anything seemed to be, that's what we want to go with. That's what we're going to go with because they were the more senior person in the room. I didn't say anything at the meeting. I just typed. I actually kept notes associated with the actual meeting itself because I needed them for work, but then I also took notes on the observations for the meeting. The tax director, I noticed him occasionally looking at the SVP almost for like assurance, like, I want to make sure that I'm on the right track and that I'm giving the partner for KPMG all of what he needs to understand exactly what we're doing within the tax department. He was using words like right, almost in a way to say it's simple. Like, we go through this spreadsheet, right? And almost like getting that validation and then the cue to say, yes, you understand. Getting a cue from the partner and other folks in the room, like, yes, you understand. What else? I observed whenever the SVP of accounting was talking, the partner was was very just intently looking and listening, and he was ready to actually ask questions to find out. He just the partner did the same thing, looking directly at the SVP of accounting and looking for a little bit more. Like, it was almost sometimes at certain points they were the only ones in the room. And a lot of the heavier, more specific questions were geared towards the SVP of accounting. All in all, the meeting went great. I think all questions were answered by the partner for the all the questions asked of the partner to the tax department was answered. But it's interesting to see the dynamic and understand that it just seems that people of more senior level always tend to try to make sure that they are in control of the meeting, even though they weren't the one that actually was facilitating the meeting. And I mean, that's fine and that's great, but all in all, it was a great meeting, and I look forward there were no necessarily like disagreements or arguments. There were a lot of nonverbal cues given, a lot of head nodding and shaking, and that really just let the other side know, I understand and I get what you're saying. So I felt that it was a great experience to be able to be an observer in a meeting and not necessarily have to be thinking about, okay, how do I play into the meeting, but just really get an understanding of how at times, yes, a facilitator can be thrown off if someone else jumps in and takes over, and how to wheel things back in to making sure that you get through and achieve the objective of the meeting, which was ensuring that we got through the process, got through all the internal controls, and that KPMG had an understanding of what was going on. So all in all, it was a successful meeting, and I hope you enjoyed my video.